Hi, I'm Dave Siever from Mind Alive. When entrainment was discovered in 1934, frequency was the only tool that scientists had to measure the effects of photic stimulation and auditory stimulation on the brain, and assume that the entire effect was indeed frequency. Flashing lights and stimulation in general affects all kinds of things. But roughly in the late 1990s and around the early 2000s, we started experimenting with mild randomization up to plus minus 1 hertz from the entraining frequency. But not more than that. We found if we randomized too much, clinical effects of entrainment were completely lost. So there is a stimulation aspect to entrainment, but there's also, you need to kind of hang on to your base frequencies to some degree for it to work effectively. So we started experimenting with randomizing up to plus minus 1 hertz from any frequency of stimulation, and found that instead of having 30 or 40 protocols on a device, we were able to knock them back to just 10, 15 and cover the entire range of clinical effects that we used to do with 40, because of the fact that randomization produces a myriad of effects that are very beneficial clinically. So this was good, and we've been using this for 20 years and we've been doing research on it. But since that time, we've also decided to expand the entrainment process, and instead of just randomizing a portion of a session, we began randomizing an entire session. And we started doing this research. It was a slow process, but we started doing this back in around 2000 and found that indeed randomizing an entire session had better clinical effects again. But again, keeping it within the parameters of roughly plus minus 1 hertz of variation from the entraining frequency. And since that time, we now have a patent on a technique which we call randomized audio-visual entrainment, or what we'd like to call RAVE. And we're raving all about it, that's for sure. And the RAVE protocol is now available in our latest device called the Premier. Thank you for listening.